Hi, I'm Anna Timmerman, a horticulture agent with the LSU Ag Center, and we're here today at Dockville Farm with the Muro Foundation to talk a little bit about container gardening. There's a range of things you can do gardening in containers, everything from some annual color for your porch to house plants to getting a nice healthy start with your vegetable transplants for outside. When we're container gardening, container selection is very important. If you're starting seedlings, something very small like this 4-inch pot would be adequate. However, if you are buying larger containers, including these decorative ceramic containers, it's very important to make sure they have a hole on the bottom so that there's good drainage. As you can see, this one does not have a hole, so you would either have to drill through that with a masonry bit or purchase a different container. But we do want to make sure with all of these different containers that we have good drainage throughout that whole thing. Here we've got a nice set of holes in the bottom of this container. And when we're doing anything with container gardening, we don't want to use topsoil or just anything in terms of fill soil from outside. You do want to use a nice loose potting mix versus topsoil or any kind of fill dirt from outside. Some of the benefits of the potting soil is it's full of perlite, different organic matter, peat moss. It's got a nice bunch of pores throughout for water and air, so we get good root growth within the restrictions of a container. It's much different than planting in the ground. We do need to consider that. There are a variety of potting mixes out there on the market, everything from commercial grade ones down to organic ones. They're all great. There's advantages to each, but regardless, you're going to have to add a source of nutrients. You think about a plant being restricted to just a pot, each time we water it, all those nutrients flush out through the bottom holes. So we need to fertilize on a regular basis. One of the best ways you can do that is with an all-purpose granular fertilizer such as this, and you just want to get in a routine of monthly adding some of these granules. You can also apply fertilizer when you're watering with a product such as Miracle-Gro or fish emulsion as well. When starting our vegetable transplants, sometimes it's necessary to bump them up. Bumping up is when the root system has completely filled the pot. So it's running out of room. This here is a zucchini. It might need a couple more weeks indoors before we can safely plant it outdoors. So we would bump it up into the next size pot by filling a little bit in the bottom. And then we want to keep the new soil level the same as the old soil level. You don't want to bury any of the stem when you're bumping up a plant. You backfill around that. By bumping this transplant up, we've given it some time so that it can continue to grow in a container before we put it out in the garden. This is the same principle we would use for anything, houseplants, ornamentals. Make sure you periodically check that your roots are not too restricted or have filled the entire container space. That's a good sign you might have to bump up into a larger container. For more information about container gardening and all things horticulture, be sure to check out the LSU Ag Center's website at www.lsuagcenter.com.